Welcome to Philippine-Canadian Inquirer's Daily News Roundup, brought to you by CanadianInquirer.net, your only Filipino-Canadian daily news portal. Thank you for joining us. In the news, UN imposes new sanctions on North Korea. As North Korea remains to encroach upon United Nations resolutions and continues its intercontinental ballistic missile testing, the United Nations Security Council shows its opposition by forwarding motions imposing new sanctions against North Korea. The resolution targets main exports and revenue streams. It also includes cutting their annual revenue of $3 billion into more than a third, according to a statement from the Office of U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley. The resolution is considered to be, quote, one of the strongest sanctions that have been passed in a generation, end quote. Meanwhile, Rodong Sinmun, North Korea's state-run newspaper, released an article warning that the United States' only option will be self-destruction unless it gives up its hostile policy against Pyongyang. As for what's next, Haley said that it's completely up to North Korea. Montrealers welcome asylum seekers from U.S. Hundreds of people on Sunday gathered outside the Montreal's Olympic Stadium to express support for asylum seekers crossing the border from the United States to Canada. Chanting messages of welcome, the crowd stood near the entrance to the stadium that was converted into a temporary shelter to house some refugee claimants whose number raced in the past weeks. One of the asylum seekers is Haitian Adeline Titus. She lived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida from 2009 until she decided to leave the U.S. in fear that she would be sent back to Haiti due to the possibility of the Trump administration ending the so-called temporary protected status. According to the City of Montreal, there are between 250 and 300 asylum seekers crossing the Canada-United States border every day, up from 50 per day in the first half of July. Negotiations in West of Philippine Sea Code to take place on November, after China and ASEAN ministers agreed on the framework of the Code of Conduct at the ASEAN-China ministerial meeting on Sunday. It has been arranged that this November will be the start of the negotiations of ASEAN countries with China and the materialization of West Philippine Sea's Code of Conduct. In line with this, Minister Wang Yi said in a statement that they are going to cooperate in the discussion as long as those countries not within ASEAN will not interfere, a consideration China is asking for. However, according to the Department of Foreign Affairs, there is no assurance that China will halt its military facility construction on the disputed territory, while the Code of Conduct is not yet done. But China and other ASEAN member countries will continue to work hand in hand so the situation will not worsen.